Hey, it's Brian Mudd. This is my cheat sheet for Wednesday, November 28th. Okay, so we got economic data yesterday, and both pieces of important data were good. Number one, consumer confidence hit near a 4.5-year high, which, if you do the math on that, pretty much gets us back before the fall of 2008, which is a cool thing. Consumer confidence is an indication of what we're likely to do in the near term in terms of spending. That validates what we've seen from the real big rush in shopping over Black Friday and the whole weekend into Cyber Monday. And it might even mean that we continue to spend straight through the holiday season, which means it could be a very, very big fourth quarter for retailers after all. Or, as fickle as we are, what happens in Washington could end up impacting things. I'm going to come back to that for a moment. The other piece of information we got yesterday was on housing, Case-Shiller Index. Now this one just kind of focuses on the 20 largest metros. And what we continue to see, recovery. 13 out of 20 of the largest metros did show price appreciation yet again, month over month, and almost all year over year. The average year over year increase was nearly 4% around those 20 largest metros, with the biggest gainer being Phoenix. Get this. They were up more than 20% year over year, so Phoenix just continues to be on a tear. Our region, hubbed out of Miami, showed a near 8% increase yet again. One of the things that's been interesting when we've gotten localized data, when we actually see Palm Beach County and then Treasure Coast breakouts, oftentimes we're pacing better than the Miami metro as a whole, which means that we're probably going to continue to see double-digit year-over-year price increases in Palm Beach County and certain communities within the Treasure Coast. So make no mistake, we are definitely still on a strong recovery path in our area. Now here's the other thing. Is it sustainable? This is a question that's come up quite a bit frequently. And people have been asking because we're scared, and rightfully so, after having gone through the boom-bust scenario. Okay, now we're suddenly seeing double-digit year-over-year price increases in our area. Is this just going to fall apart again? Here's the answer. Absolutely not, and there are two reasons for it. First, in Palm Beach County, 74%, as of the most recent data we have, 74% of all properties that are being purchased with 100% cash. By definition, they can't default. So that already tells you that 3/4 of the properties that are driving this will be safe no matter what. On the Treasure Coast, the number continues to be over 60%. Here's the other thing. For those that are obtaining mortgages, there's plenty of room to ride. You know how mortgage companies don't like to see more than 32% of your gross income being laid out for a mortgage, and most like to keep you under 30%. Well, around the country right now, the average, 13.6%. That's right, just 13.6% of our income is actually being spent on our mortgage payment. That is more than 30% lower than it was from the period from 1985 to 2000, before the housing boom. In other words, when you compare the amount of income we're laying out for a mortgage versus historical averages, we're putting far less of our income towards our house than we have before, which tells you several things. Number one, there's plenty of room to run. There's plenty of room for people to be able to move up, buy on their existing home, should they choose to do so. So absolutely, what we're taking a look at right now is completely sustainable if provided that we don't have another huge downfall in the economy that would lead to much higher rates of unemployment, because obviously if you don't have a job, it doesn't matter, you're pretty much spending all of your income towards your mortgage payment at that point, right? Okay, now let me circle back around to consumer confidence, the fiscal cliff. One of the things that was clear in the consumer confidence reading yesterday is that we don't have a clue what the fiscal cliff is, and we dang sure aren't prepared for it. Here's the problem. When the question has been posed about the fiscal cliff to the average consumer, as being read by confidence, they don't think it really has anything to do with them. I mean, we so often hear about the wealthy and all that the average person out there, unless they're making, unless they're part of the 2% that is, now the wealthy class in this country as defined by the president, they don't think this has anything to do with them. Here's the thing. If you work, this has to do with you. Really has to do with all of us, because we're all one interlocked economy. But every single working American faces a tax increase January 1st. That's the reality of the fiscal cliff. That's the biggest piece of the fiscal cliff. And that says nothing, if you are in an industry that directly relies on funding that would end up being cut as a result of the other pieces of the fiscal cliff. There are tens of thousands of people that would be laid off just by projects going away. But just simply, are you prepared for significantly higher taxes January 1st? The average consumer is not. And here's the thing. If there is not resolution, if we do actually go over this fiscal cliff, you're going to see consumer confidence drop like a stinking rock. We're going to go from this 4.5-year high, probably the worst level in years, very quick, because people don't see this coming. They don't understand. Here's what I recommend you do. We don't know what they're going to do in Washington. You got to figure out what your income is. You got to figure out where you fall, and you got to figure out what you're paying in taxes now, what you would be paying under the previous Bush, before Bush era tax policy, and then figure out how that impacts your life. If much, maybe you don't need to make adjustments, but maybe you do. For some people, the tax rate difference will be 10%. 10%. Significant. All right, that's the cheat sheet for today. I got plenty more, like, for example, what kills 19% of our smartphones. It's not a pretty situation, but it is on my fiscal cheat sheet. Check that out, and we shall see you tomorrow.